On today's show, how have the LA Clippers been overachieving through 25 games of the season? Gonna be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod, and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want you to subscribe and hit the notification bell and let me know what you think of these first 25 games. Maybe give me a grade, letter grade, of how you feel about these first 25 games, and then just comment whatever you want about the episode. Give me feedback. I'm always looking for it. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. And Locked On Clippers now has a daily newsletter written by yours truly. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Clippers newsletter. All right, so in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the secrets to our success. These first 25 games, we have not had Kawhi Leonard for one of them. And if you had told me that before the season, I would not have thought that we would be 14-11. And that's not because I didn't believe in James Harden, because but the immediate go-to is, this fool doesn't trust Harden. He's done it before with mediocre rosters. No, that is actually what I was expecting from Harden, because I know how good he is. I did not expect Norman Powell to average 23 points a game. But I don't want to take anything away from James Harden. Without James Harden, this doesn't happen. We've missed him in one game only. We lost that game. It was the most recent game. But you could see how he's literally the sole reason that we can create shots consistently, good shots consistently. He's that guy. Without him, Norman Powell did not look the same, because Norman Powell, awesome player, but he plays off other guys. He's not a guy that self-creates for me at a high level in the NBA, and that is why he thrives next to talent, because when the defense is, helping off of him because they're worried about other guys, and he catches it either for an open three or attacking the closeout, or, of course, the classic Norman Powell left to right curl at the top. He has the ability to get downhill, and he has an amazing shot. But that's been one of the biggest surprises for me, is Norman Powell. 24 points a game if you round up, 23.6. And he's missed 7 games so far this season. But 24 points a game on 49, 49, 84 shooting splits. He's shooting 49% from three. He said addition by subtraction, and he has backed up every word of it. Last year, he averaged 14 points. So you can just see, with the 7 extra minutes of time, he's averaging 33 minutes this season. Last season, 26. He's almost averaging 10 more points a game. And the loss of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have enabled that. Now, I know there's some people saying, is Norm going to be limited when Kawhi comes back? And all that. I think he'll just have less shots. Just be featured a little bit less. Probably less Norm curls. But I don't think it'll drop off drastically. I think the number will be like 18. Although it still could be 20, because, Kawhi is also going to create shots for Norm. It's going to be another threat out there. But also, Paul George was able to average 23. Although Harden is averaging 20. That's the thing. I wonder in games that Kawhi plays, who will average more points, James Harden or Norman Powell? Honestly, I think if it's Norm, it's better for the team. Because imagine if you have James Harden as your third leading scorer, but obviously the second best player. That is what they wanted him to be in Brooklyn. Because, I watched those Brooklyn games because I just wanted to see how that materialized. And at the time, it was right after COVID, just graduated college, no job or anything like that. I was just doing dime droppers. So, I was watching too much basketball. And I was watching the Nets a lot, even though I've been very public about I'm not a huge fan of the heliocentric ball pick and roll dominators, which does include Chris Paul, who I'm going to, by the way, talk about a little later because it was a milestone he achieved, and I think it's relevant to Clipper history. But also going to be speaking about our coaching staff. I think they've been such a big part of what we've done. But we've been doing our thing this season with our defense massively. Massively. And we knew that going into the season that it was going to have to be a defensive-minded team. When you look at the personnel on the roster, you're like, yeah, Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., this has a team that wants to thrive defensively written all over it. There was a point I was going to make before, and I totally lost track. See, those are the moments where I wish I had a co-host because then I can think about what I'm going to say instead of having to go straight for the whole episode. But it just happens. I'll probably remember it. But I'll probably remember it. Jesus. We've been doing our thing defensively, though. 6th in offensive rating. And I was talking about the Brooklyn Nets. There we go. Yeah, so I was watching a lot of those games back then, and there's no doubt in my mind that, and yes, I used the heliocentric ball dominator thing because Luka, James Harden, Trae Young, Chris Paul, like those kind of guys. You're wondering, but Chris Paul, I thought you liked him. Yeah, I do love him because of what he did for the Clippers, but I can't lie. When I watch him play now as an adult, I'm like, dude, this dude pound. When I go back and watch those Lob City games, and I've watched a good amount of them in the last 3 years. And when I say good amount, I mean good amount of playoff games from 2012 and mainly 2012. I watched all the playoff games from 2012, and then some regular season games in 2023, like the first 18 or so within the last 3 years. And I watched CP3, and I'm just like, this dude was dribbling so much. Your lens of basketball evolves, right? But I say all that to say that James Harden in Brooklyn, I was still tuning in. He was the second best player on the team. And in that season, before he got the hamstring injury, he was the best player playing like it. I don't think he was better than KD, but he was playing like it because KD was hurt for a lot of the season. And before he got hurt, James Harden was an MVP candidate. I remember the games vividly. That game at Phoenix really comes to mind. But the model was you got your number one option, Kawhi, KD. Your second best player is James Harden, right? He's your main facilitator. He's the guy that's running your show. And then the third option is a guy that can work a little quicker off the catch, can score the ball. Now, Norman Powell and Kyrie Irving, it's no comparison there. But Norman Powell's really good, right? And I would argue we have a much stronger supporting cast than that 2021 Nets team did. Now, am I arguing for us being better than the 2021 Nets? No, because James Harden still was better then, and Kawhi Leonard hasn't played a game. But I'm saying that my point was the model of having James as your third leading scorer, but the second best player and your main facilitator, that was a championship team contending-wise last time that was a thing. So that's what we want to see. And that was the case last year, but we obviously didn't get to see it in the playoffs. This team, I think, when healthy, has more potential than last year's because the defense is just so different. You know what I'm saying? And Norman Powell has shown me something, and so is Zoo. So, all the things that we talked about before the season, the only thing that hasn't happened is Bones Highland hasn't gotten the minutes that some fans have wanted, and Terrence Mann has not taken a leap. But if you want to check off the boxes, are we a great defensive team? Absolutely. We are a great defensive team. Chris Dunn has been God-sent. He's been better than I ever expected he could be. Now, I know a lot of other people watch the Jazz more than I did last season. I do not watch the Utah Jazz play basketball. I never do it unless it's a huge game because I just can't stand them. And I never have been able to unless I couldn't stand them when I was a kid, but I love Darren Williams so much, so I would watch their games sometimes. But I didn't have League Pass or anything. But I'm just saying when they were on national television, although I would watch every nationally televised game when I was a kid. Defensive rating-wise, we're 6th. If we said before the season, or at least I said, and you guys agreed, we want Kawhi. Oh, sorry, without Kawhi, if we can be a top 10 defense, we'll be in business because it'll keep us in games. Because our offense is not going to be that great. We know that. And then when we get Kawhi, we can be a top 5 defense. We're 6th without Kawhi. That is special. So, yeah. I am very happy about that. And what are the other things? Norman Powell, addition by subtraction. Ivica Zubac's taking that leap, having a career year. Derrick Jones Jr. has been even better than expected. Amir Coffey's been even better than last year. Kevin Porter Jr., he's been exactly what I thought. If he's been exactly what I thought. And then there's who else? That's pretty much it, right? Nico's been a positive contributor. Not as good as I thought he would be by a bit, but he's been a positive contributor. And then Jordan Miller. Jordan Miller's been even better than I thought. So we're doing it. We're doing it. That's my takeaway is through 25 games, we have overachieved. As fans, we should all be really proud of this team. This is the biggest compliment to this entire team is there's been one game throughout this first quarter of the season, just one. And if you limit these kind of games, this applies to every team. If you limit these kinds of games, and it applies to every sport too, where you just dog it out there, it's not your night, but you just kind of give up and it's a joke. There's a lot more of those games in today's NBA than ever before to me because the three-point volatility really discourages teams from defending and they just quit, just basically mail it in. Remember we had that a couple of seasons ago, it was Blowout Central. There was like stats about it. There were stats about it. We've only had one game like that this season, and that was the game against the Timberwolves at home at Intuit Dome. Other than that, every single other game, I've said, we tried. We played hard. So that's the biggest compliment I can give us. Coming up, though, Tyronn Lue speaks to a guy that's been very critical of Clipper players in recent years, Stephen A. Smith. What did Ty Lue reveal about the team and the mentality of some of the players? I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. And right now for FanDuel NFL odds, we've got Rams-Niners, Thursday night football at Levi Stadium. The Niners are -2.5, but go Rams all the way, baby. I'm feeling good. We just beat the Bills, and I'm saying Rams money line. And then if you're a I almost said San Diego Chargers. LA Chargers fan, they have a game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday at 1:25 local time here at SoFi, and they are a -3 for that. So, maybe a good weekend for LA. Chargers and Rams getting it done. We'll see. You already know where to go for all that and all your betting needs. It's FanDuel.com. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so the Clippers, 14-11 through 25 games of the season. The first year at Intuit Dome. We've only had, by my count, 3 sellouts so far, which hasn't been good. And there's been a lot of factors to that, and honestly, I should have made a segment out of that because it's worth a topic on its own. But we have plenty of time this week because we don't play till Friday, so we'll have Adam Osland, host of Clippers Talk, and our radio host coming on tomorrow to join me. He's been doing even more work than me, to be honest, when it comes to the Clippers. Even though I do Dime Dropper and Locked On, this dude's going live 7 days a week. I don't know how he does it. I can't, I would have to really, and I like the way we're playing right now, but I would have to really be high on the Clippers to do that just because I'm not even sleeping as is. I have all this, I literally coach 7 days a week at something, whether it's club or school or recreational. I coach 7 days a week, and then I do work a day job too. So it's just hard for me to find the time to do that. But, you know, I wouldn't even go live if I could every day if I could, to be honest with you. So I give Adam credit for that. He'll be coming on tomorrow to talk. But by the way, I'm still doing basketball stuff every day though. So don't twist it for the love for the game. But the love for talking about the Clippers, yeah, I think Adam might have me beat on that one. Although I do love my Clippers. I am a fan since day one, and I will always be. Tyronn Lue recently was on Stephen A. Smith's pod, or Stephen A. Smith's show, and a lot of Clipper fans took exception to that because Stephen A. Smith has gone on record multiple times and called Kawhi Leonard the worst superstar ever. Now, before I get into the actual conversation, let's talk about that. Kawhi Leonard is not the worst superstar ever by any means, given the fact that he is one of the players in NBA history that has been a consensus best player on a championship team. And when you actually start with, like, let's say the shot clock era, right? That list is not very long. I said the word consensus. So that means if there's like a debate about it, it's not consensus. That list is like if you go by decade, it's not long. Like in the it's like Bob Pettit and Bill Russell and Wilt in the 60s. Like it ends there. And then the 70s gets a little more diverse, so I'm not going to go through all that. But the 80s, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, Magic, and then Isaiah Thomas. And then you get to Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, right? That's 10. And now I'm done with the 90s. Not to make a pun out of that fool on the internet. And then I have 10 right now. And then I have Diesel, 11. Timmy D, 12. Kobe, 13. To 04 Pistons, I had no consensus best player. D Wade, 14. And then we get to Kobe, 15. LeBron, 16. And then Steph Curry, 17. Then Jokic and Giannis, 18, 19. Then Kawhi. If there's anybody I forgot, that's 20 right there. So the list, even if I do the 70s, okay, let's add Rick Barry in there. Let's add Clyde Frazier in there. That's 22. You got any more? Because that 72 Lakers team is a debate between Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain, who's better on that team, based on how you look at it. Maybe John Havlicek. So you have less than 30 guys that can say that in the history of basketball. In the history of basketball. Bill Walton. Well, I literally just named all of them off the top of my head. Okay, I don't mean to toot my own horn. That sounded a little bit conceited. But that's crazy. So, like, Stephen A. Smith sounds nuts when he's talking about the worst superstar ever. However, this is where I'll say he has some good points. When it comes to what he's done for the Clippers, it's been a lot of unavailability, and he does nothing to promote your brand, which is facts. He's not that type of guy. It's just what it is. So when he's not playing and you don't see that kind of promotion, that kind of enthusiasm for the team that, say, a James Harden has, or Westbrook, or even Paul George, and Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, quite frankly, then it's like you don't see the guys like a ghost. That's why our former guest Jamal Christopher had that joke calling him Ghost, because people acted like that. But it's still like when he's out for extended periods, it's like you just don't see him. And then our beat writers will tweet, "Oh, Kawhi's at practice," and it's like he's here, like at his job, like as if it's, like this is Chewbacca or something. But Ty Lue was speaking about it because Stephen A. Smith had him on the show. So I also want to hear from you. How do you feel about Ty Lue going on the show when one of his guys is getting called the worst superstar ever? Now, for me, it just shows, one, that Ty Lue is like, I don't know. Actually, to me, it doesn't show me anything about Ty Lue. I think it just shows me that Stephen A. Smith like has really good relationships in the league. Like the fact that he can say stuff like that, and Ty Lue's like, yeah, I'll do a show. And of course, like they're probably paying him a good amount, but he did it, and he wouldn't do it with someone that he like hates his guts, I don't think, in the middle of the season. And, Stephen A. Smith respectfully addressed it. Not the worst superstar ever part, but like how frustrated does it feel? And Ty Lue literally said like, yeah, I mean, Kawhi, he always wants to be out there. It's just been very unfortunate timing. I mean, as Clipper fans, we've heard it because we get the news all the time, but we've heard Ty Lue say it. He wants to play. It's never that he doesn't want to play. And he said there's been times where he's been talking to Kawhi and he's been almost in tears because he's letting the team down. Now, I think that's hyperbole a little bit because I'm not saying grown men and athletes don't cry. I just can't see Kawhi Leonard crying because he's injured to play basketball. You know what I mean? He's been through a lot worse. And I don't know. I'm not here to judge that really, but this is the same guy that went to the Olympics. If he feels like he's letting the team down, he should not have even thought about going to the Olympics, because with your injury history, if your obligation is to the Clippers, that was sus, in my opinion. I'm like, I can't just overlook that. So, but yes, I do believe that Kawhi wants to play basketball. Like, I'm not one of those people that thinks, and I don't think any Clipper fan thinks that Kawhi does, you never know, some may, doesn't want to play basketball. I just think he's been unfortunate with injuries, like Tyronn Lue said. And then Tyronn Lue said some more things. I mean, he was very complimentary of his coaching staff this season. Obviously they were going to ask him about Stephen A was going to ask him about Jeff Van Gundy, and he gave flowers. He, as in Tyronn Lue, gave flowers to Norm, to Zoo, our defense. So it was a good listen. I haven't even listened to the whole thing. I saw a lot of clips aggregated on my Twitter timeline. But if I had more, I'm going to try to listen to it because it's our coach talking mid-season. But God, I just don't have time to do anything these days besides watch Clipper games and coach. Like, not even watching other teams' games. So it is what it is. Or sleep. But it is what it is. Do it for the love of the Clips. So my moral of the story, Tyronn Lue backed Kawhi Leonard up. Spirits seem good. Spirits seem high. And he did a pod with Stephen A. So let me know how you feel about that, just given what Stephen A has said, about Kawhi. But coming up, going to talk a little bit more about our coaching staff and the impact that they've had in us being 14-11 through 25. And then a shout out to our old friend CP3 on an incredible accomplishment. I got to tell you a little something about Mint Mobile. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Mint Mobile is awesome. The only thing about it is, well, not a negative, but people don't know enough about it because they don't have a physical store. But Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. I even talk about them on my Dime Dropper account as well. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected coverages. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. You don't have to do that whole process of adding everyone's number again. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right. So the Clippers are overachieving right now through 25 games, standing at 14-11. We have a 6th place defensive rating in the NBA right now, which is awesome. And then in terms of offensive rating, we've got an offensive rating that last I checked was, let's see, I'll just tell you what it is now. 24, Jesus. Yeah, so we're not a good offensive team. We knew that. But if it weren't for James Harden, we would literally be 30th. Actually, let's see. Who's 30th? Wizards? Ooh. I'm being dead serious, though. We'd have no better on-ball creator than Jordan Poole, so we might actually be 30th. We just would be way better because our defense is good. But part of why our defense is good? Not just the players. It's the coaching staff. And I'm always, as someone who coaches, I'm always pro players over coaching staff because you cannot, I really truly believe this, and I love Jeff Van Gundy. Like, I'm so ecstatic that he's part of our organization. I actually hate that assistant coaches don't get media attention or get asked questions enough because I just want to hear what Jeff Van Gundy has to say about being on the Clippers. So sick. We heard him talk so much for the last decade plus, and now he's on our team and we just don't hear it. He doesn't do media stuff. It's And I know he's being super vocal at practice, so like I haven't heard his voice in a while, you know? I want to hear that JVG. But it's not just JVG. It's all the other assistant coaches too. Like Dante Jones, for example. Dante Jones was a very good defender. Like great defender. Borderline dirty. He's trying to help get after it defensively. So we got guys, in the coaching staff. Ty Lue shouted them out. Oh, I don't remember all of their names off the top of my head. But it is a great staff. It really is. But my point I was trying to make was it's about the players. Like, that's the biggest thing I've learned about coaching. It's in basketball. It's not like baseball where you have to, like some of the decisions that Dave Roberts had to make in the World Series that, like, were make or break. And, like, it's just way different. It's so much more pressure on the coach, on the manager. In soccer with the formations and, your tactics, it's way more complex to me. NFL, your play calling. In basketball, when we get Kawhi Leonard back, we instantly go from no chance of a contention to win a championship to contention to winning. It's very rare you have a team sport like that. And I know the quarterback in football, like that's major, but like there's nothing like basketball where you have 5 guys and they play both sides. Like it's nothing like it. So the players just mean everything. So without the players, it doesn't matter what Jeff Van Gundy was doing. If you put a starting lineup of Bones Highland, Jordan Poole, Michael Porter Jr., Rui Hachimura, and Yusuf Nurkic on the court, and you have Jeff Van Gundy coaching, you think that'd be a good defensive team? Will be dog water. So, it's the players. But Jeff Van Gundy contributes. He has this attention to detail that's so amazing, and you can see how passionate he is about our defense when he's going crazy. There was a clip I shared on Twitter where he was going crazy when we were up by 26 points in that game a couple of nights ago. And I think it was Shaedon Sharp who made the 3. And it cut the lead from 26 to 23. And Jeff Van Gundy got up and got so mad. Yeah, it was the one against it was against the Blazers. He got so mad. And it was the fourth quarter, we're up by 23 points. But that's the kind of mentality. That's the kind of mentality that you need from anyone that wants to be great at something and maniacally cares about it. That is awesome to see. So I love our coaching staff. It's great to have Jeff Van Gundy. There's no doubt. And by the way, when Law Murray came on the show, he talked about Jeff Van Gundy doesn't want to force baseline. He wants to force middle where the help is and where Zoo is. And that's a little different from a lot of coaches today because giving up middle is not what you want to do. It's funny because on our club team, we actively don't give up middle. We force the kids baseline. Again, NBA versus AAU, middle school and high school, but it's conceptual because there's teams that force baseline and ice screens all the time and force guys to that sideline or that baseline. We have a rim protector in Zoo. We want to do it. And plus, the guys like Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr., their length is crazy when they're on the perimeter and they just dig and take the ball. And when we get Kawhi back, you best believe that's going to be great too. And James Harden has that ability to slap down. I mean, the guy is leading our team in steals right now. So, James Harden, actually, whoa. He's only played 1 game, so it doesn't count. But never mind, he's not leading our team. It's a tie right now between Chris Dunn and James Harden at 1.6 steals a game. But Cam Christie got 2 steals in the 1 game he played, so he's averaging 2 steals a game. But James Harden averaging 22 and 8.5. I thought he would average 20 and 9, but that was with Kawhi. So I think he's been great. His shooting splits still not too great, 38% from the field and 34% from 3. But I just think they don't tell the full story. And then Chris Dunn's 3-point percentage is now at 32%, which isn't great. But, I mean, Derrick Jones Jr., we talk about Norman Powell's shooting splits. Derrick Jones Jr. and Amir Coffey have been amazing. Derrick Jones Jr. shooting 50, 42, 87. That's crazy. 42% from 3. And how about 87% from the line? Even though he only shoots 1 free throw a game, Derrick Jones. And then Amir is shooting 49% from the field and 43% from 3 and 85% from the line. So how about that efficiency? Nico Batum, not so great. 37% from the field, but all his shots are threes, and he's shooting 36% from there. So you give him a couple more good games from 3, he'll probably get up to that 37, 38% range, which is exactly what we want him at. Kevin Porter Jr. is shooting 42% from the field and 20 from 3, but now he's shooting over 40%, which is great. It's getting, you're getting there. Then Terrence, 44% from the field and 34 from three. So still not so great there. And he's going to be out for a couple more weeks. That's fractured middle finger. But I want to end this pod with something a little bit more lighthearted and heartwarming. And I know he's not currently on the Clippers, and there's some fans that still, for whatever reason, I disagree with them. But I'm never going to police you out of fan. I'm going to say you're a bad fan because you don't support, CP3 or love CP3. But if you deny that he's top 2 greatest Clipper of all time, especially in our time in LA, like we're not counting McAdoo, then you're just like being delusional. Like it's honestly not a matter of opinion to me anymore. It's Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, and if you have any argument other than that, you sound ridiculous. Paul George, if you think Kawhi is a better Clipper than Paul George, then there's no argument to be had between Blake Griffin and Chris Paul not being top 2, because this is not an argument to be had. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and do an episode on that. But if you want me to, I damn sure will. But I just don't think that you guys are interested in that. So you want to hear more about this current team. CP3 passed Jason Kidd in assists. 2nd all time. That's an incredible accomplishment. 2nd all time behind Stockton. And Stockton's record is crazy, but we don't like the Jazz over here, even though my boss is a Jazz fan and works for them. But sorry, the Clippers and the Jazz have had too much beef. Like, I'm sorry. But Stockton's amazing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't get to watch him in live time, but, like, trust me, I'm well educated on that stuff. I would love to watch him more during the off seasons, but it's funny. There's a lot of parallels between the two. Like, pick and roll gods, never won a ring, amazing passers, scrappy defenders, really high steals guys. They're gonna end up top 2 in steals all time as well. Crazy longevity. People wanted them to be a little more aggressive, shooting the ball, scoring the ball over the course of their careers. And, they were always ready to throw cheap shots too. But the reason why this is significant is because CP3 had most of these assists as a Clipper. And he was the best version of himself as a Clipper. And that video that the Spurs posted with all the players congratulating him, 2 of the last 3 players were DJ and BG. The 2 guys that he assisted the most. Actually, no, it was David West 2nd. I think DJ 3rd. But I mean, it was my smile when I saw Blake Griffin speak and congratulate him at the end of that. That was heartwarming. Like, I'm not going to say I almost shed a tear, but, like, my smile was so big. Because I know that I don't know the extent of all the beef with Blake and Chris, but I know they didn't like each other. So to see that, the way they were laughing with each other, I think it was last season, and they hadn't talked to each other like that after they had left. And just seeing him say, congratulations, brother. It's just like, it put this image in my head of like one day when we're all at Chris Paul's retirement ceremony at Intuit, and what if Blake Griffin's actually going to be there and he's going to speak? Like, I've never had a moment like that as a Clipper fan. Like, where 2 players that mean so much to me have such an impact on my childhood are like talking. And I know other people are going to cringe. It's like, these guys didn't even win you a championship. But like, retirement ceremonies aren't just for champions. It's like people only think about Celtics and Lakers when it comes to that stuff, it feels like. But without Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, there's no Intuit Dome for me. There's no influx in Clipper fans and all that. They showed people that we could be a sold out every night type of deal. You can follow me on, but so congratulations, CP3, 2nd all time. It's an amazing achievement. I don't know how Chris Paul's still playing basketball. He was injured all the time for us. Just kidding. Compared to Kawhi, no such, not quite. But he was injured a lot for back then, at least. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Let me know what you think of the episode. You're going to give me... I know I'm already going to hear from the Kawhi stands because I said I don't believe Ty Lue with the crying comment. Because Ty Lue lies all the time to us. And I don't know. I think he's sad about it, but crying, like, I don't know. I just don't see Kawhi to cry about the injuries. And obviously the James Harden fans are going to be mad because I made that comment about anti-heliocentric ball, but whatever. Cry me a river. Go Clippers. It's all about the Clipper fans at the end of the day, and I love you guys, and I appreciate you all for listening, and the age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers, and make sure you subscribe to sign up for the newsletter, lockedondaily.com, baby. The newsletter. I write it. It'd be really nice for you to sign up for it. Keep subscribing. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.